Chuck Todd, I don't know if you saw it, but the Hardee's restaurant chain took out this magnificent ad in Des Moines, in the Des Moines Register, congratulating Joni Ernst, who said, "Who would have believed it, from the biscuit line at Hardee's to the United States Senate?" And that's just, cute. Everyone's got a lot of post-election narrative and spin. I want your take on what it means for Hillary.
You know, I've been thinking about this a while, and I think she's got pressure on her to get in earlier maybe than she wanted to. I think there's a sense of some Democrats are looking for somebody to sort of start rallying the party. But I have to say, I think a long presidential candidate's not going to be healthy for her. Like, I don't think that's a good, it's not good for anybody to be in the spotlight for as long as she's going to be in it. And I think a bigger problem for the Democrats this election is the fact that Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, everybody decided to run again. You know, the fresh faces, the young faces in Washington are Republican faces, and the old faces, or the veteran faces, are Democratic faces. And so I think that's something that the party in general, and you wonder if you're Hillary Clinton, you know, she's the youngest of that group, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, Jim Clyburn, those folks. But, you know, I think you want to present yourself as the next generation, you know, sort of the party of the 21st century, and maybe demographically they feel like they're there, but I think their leaders, I think the faces of the party, I think that's something they have to think about.
Yeah, I hope they Republicans put Elise Stefanik, the 30-year-old, on their steering committee, because she having a millennial in leadership would be great. But talking about Scott Walker, I began the program with Chairman Priebus, and I compared Walker to the Terminator in that first movie when Arnold would get blown up and come back. Walker just simply cannot. They've thrown everything at him, and he reassembles himself, and he smiles, and he comes forwbe Are you going to ask him about 2016?
And that's what I'm curious about. Can he take this outside of Wisconsin? You know, can he be the guy? Look, I think Hugh, you and I both know the Republican nominee has got to be, in order to get the nomination, to pull it off, they're going to have to unite the populist wing of the party, Tea Party wing, whatever you want to describe it. I would call it sort of the outsider populist wing of the party, and the establishment wing. And I think a governor is the most likely candidate to pull it off. And I think Walker certainly has the street cred, I think, with the populist wing, the Tea Party wing of the party, who feels like, you know what, he's taken on the best shots of the Democrats, and he's beaten them. But at the same time, I think the establishment wing, or the business wing of the party, doesn't fear him the way they may fear, say, a Ted Cruz or some of these others. So we'll see. Let's see how he handles that next level of spotlight.
There are so many governors who are going to be on the stage in the 2016 presidential race. John Kasich was my guest yesterday. I've got that transcript up, America, over at HughHewitt.com. He spent most of the interview, Chuck, talking about winning 1 out of 4 African-American votes. How do you expand opportunity for Latinos? He won
I guess 80. He's running, Hugh.
Yeah, it sure did sound like that. But that means Rick Perry, Chris Christie, Jeb Bush, Scott Walker. I mean, these governors, it's the opposite of like the 1988 Democratic class, and some would say the dwarfs that ran up against Mitt Romney last time. It's a parade of very accomplished Republicans. Could be a train wreck.
But, you know, not every one of these governors is going to have a financial base to pull this off. Like, you know, there's only a finite amount of space, because they're all trying to be mainstream candidates and attract the mainstream money. And I think that there's only a finite amount of those donors around. I think the big money folks still sort of have an affinity for Jeb because it's a name they know. They feel like it's a durable brand. I think there's certainly questions in that money world about Christie. There's questions in the money world about Walker, because there was some concerns about how Walker sort of ended his campaign. But to me, look at the scoreboard. You know, he didn't eke out a win. He won it by the same margin he won the recall. The same, you know,
and that money likes Kasich, and they also, some of them want Romney back.
Money likes Kasich. Yeah, Kasich is a guy that I feel like, you know, big state, the Ohio thing's going to be big, having a little Washington in his background. I mean, if I were handicapping the governors, I would put it this way, I wish I would have, the Kasich resume is the perfect gubernatorial resume. A little Washington experience from the 90s when it seemed like more stuff got done. And so that, and also maybe a touch of foreign policy. at least touching the foreign policy issue a little bit as a member of Congress, and now being from arguably the second most important swing state in the country.